and we don't put our members at risk, and we don't put our equipment out there to use fuel and get in accidents and so forth. So the department that I have works very well just the way it is. It does cost money in overtime, absolutely. Can we add people and possibly reduce the overtime? We probably could, yes. Can we optimally bring in a paramedic unit through adding personnel and make our service much better? Yes. At this point, I don't know exactly what it's going to cost us. We have to sit down and do a cost analysis, run the numbers. Right now, everything is changing from day to day. The town administrator calls me and says, don't do this, don't do that. We need to change the numbers. So I can't go back and make an analysis if my numbers are going to change every day. And that's about what's happening right now. But that's basically how my department operates. If the call goes out, the guys show up, do a great job. They minimize it, they keep the cost down as much as they can, and we keep as people as safe as we possibly can.
Well, Chief, I don't know if you have it off the top of your head, but what percentage of the overtime, is it $650,000 to $700,000 a year we're spending in overtime here? What percentage of it is based on, generally on ambulance callbacks, sending ambulance out, two guys have to come in, and then, what percentages for, striking the alarm, and what percentages for covering vacations and sick leave and that sort of stuff? You can wear your glasses, Rich. You get your glasses right there. I see you squinting over there.
Let me see. There we go. Right now we do station coverage about 3,000 hours, about $120,000.
That's for the vacation sick leave?
No, that's for the ambulance callback.
About 120?
Callback for 120.
So callback on the
ambulance and so forth.
Callback, that's called what, station coverage?
Yep.
120. What's the rest of it then?
I have callback for about 3,900 hours, $157,000.
How much?
157.
And what's that for?
Fires, callback for other assorted callback.
Callback for fires.
Yep.
Callback for ambulance?
It's different. Ambulance callback is different.
Okay, that's the 120.
Yep.
How much overtime is spent on vacation and sick leave? I mean, to get to your total.
That I can't honestly give you the answer to that one
Okay.
without having to sit down and pull all
Well,
the numbers up.
I asked the question because at one time, the fire department had a floater on the staff.
Yes.
At least I've been told that.
We had one extra guy till 1991.
Yeah.
Our staffing's been the same since 1967.
Yeah, okay, so,
That floater would take up a position on a group, and he would, if somebody took a day off, they wouldn't fill for it. And if
Right.
somebody was going to be on long-term injury, we'd transfer that gentleman to a different group to fill those vacancies.
right, so if we had an idea, for example, if we had an idea of how much money we spend in a number of hours associated with those kinds of things, which are non-emergency but, have to be covered, right? And we looked at the cost of overtime covering those, and we look at the cost of bringing in a floater to deal with that, that might be one, we don't have to do this all, have to eat the whole sandwich all at once. We can take it a bite at a time.
That's why, in essence, I brought forward my last one where I wanted to bring in 2 people in January and 2 people in June. Bring it in slowly, bring the department up 2 people in 6 months, the next 2 people in 6 more months, and so forth. We tried to do that at one point, and the budgets got very, very tight, and money was moved to different areas.
I guess the thing I don't understand is, and this is where it comes down to looking at what we can do with, if we've got an overtime budget of X, right, and a portion of that could be saved by bringing on a floater for the specific area, then it's in the budget. All we have to do is change the way we're doing things and bring in one higher. And maybe, if we haven't saved money, we've broken even. Right? And if we can if we can break even or save money, it's something worth doing, because it gives us more flexibility.
Right. We also need to bring turnout gear, about $10,000 worth of equipment that he needs.
No, I mean, we put that in as part of whatever, maybe Mike has got the numbers run out here for us.
So my line item budget won't allow me to take equipment out of salary and so.
No, I understand. But, we could make adjustments, in our next year's budget, or we can make adjustments at April town meeting.
This is why I think part of our recommendation was for the fire chief to work with the TA to try to develop some of this stuff. There's a lot of different ways to go, and there seems to be enough stuff there to be able to work with. Just, kind of a gut feel. There's enough money, there's enough overtime, there's enough different options, and just really a matter of sitting down and working some of this stuff out. This is the best way to go.
And the goal is what, to save money or to provide better service?
Yes.
I think you can do
Well,
both.
The other side of the coin is I still need people to call back. Because only 4 people on a fire ground is not gonna do the job we need to get done. Still need 8 people in 10 minutes.
I understand. There's certain things that you can't change, right? I mean, if you had an 8-man staff there, right, and you had a big fire, you'd have to bring in additional people, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I think we understand that. But there are some certain things that are predictable, right? Somebody taking a vacation day, somebody out sick, right?
Yep.
So if you took that portion of the overtime and you said, out of that portion of the overtime, can I afford to hire somebody and save that overtime and save some money in the process? Then you start by bringing that person on. And then you take the next piece, right? How much money do the people that provide ALS service to the community, right, make in a given year, right? And if we were running that service, right, that additional funds, would that cover an additional man or two? And after, we don't have to do this all in 1 year. We don't have to do it in 2 years. But we have to make a change over some time by looking at these things and saying, gee, if I take this little piece first and get it in place, and now I got some savings, which gives me a little opportunity to do this, and then we can make the next step.
Which myself, the TA, and Alan tried to do the last time, but, I mean, the budget shrank, and I'm not gonna say we won't try it again. I mean, we worked pretty diligently on the last proposal that we built. I mean, the TA, Alan, and myself.
Mhm.
Build another
Well-
proposal and bring it forward.
What about training, Chief? How much we spend on training a year? Again, that's all pretty much on overtime.
Yeah, because we can't,
I mean, you've got a staff of 4 people at a time, so I mean, any training that's gonna take place, it's gonna be done on overtime. So how much of the overtime budget is spent on training?
I can't honestly give you a number for that one, but I'll,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I think we need to get the overtime broken down into a number of subcategories, right? Because then it allows one to look at, if you do this, we can save this, and see, what's financially feasible to do.
my problem with training is as soon as we start to do some training, we put all the hose in the street and we get a call, we just leave the hose in the street and leave the truck there. I mean, we don't have anybody to take the positions while we do training. So training does suffer, so we have to do it on overtime, no doubt about it.
Right.
We do have to send it out on overtime. Because we can't get an evolution even started without somebody calling for assistance. And they come first.
I don't think
Our
anyone here is
customers
challenging
Yeah, no, I'm just
the
trying to get,
issue.
I'm trying to get a
The
breakdown.
question is, where are we
Can we
spending
change
these blocks of money, right? And out of it, perhaps we can implement some changes that can get you some of the things you're looking for, which is some additional staff without increasing the fire department budget, because we have a substantial overtime budget. And we have an overtime budget not because it's being wasted, no one's implying that. It's a part of the structure, you only have a 4-man crew.
Right.
Yeah, what we've found over the years, and we've looked at it a number of times, is really what you need is 8 more people in order to implement a new approach to things, which would minimize the amount of overtime. It's not gonna save us any money, per se. It may even cost us a little bit more, but what it will effectuate is it will give you your 2 in, 2 out. We have not, from the town side, agreed to a minimum manning clause in the contract or a 2 in, 2 out thing. Nor will we necessarily have to, but we could implement such a program anyway without contractually binding ourselves to it. But what it would do is when the ambulance goes out, you're not calling anybody in. You're not calling anybody back, so you're not having the call back. But what it in effect does is for the current workforce, reduces their income, which they've, come to expect on a regular basis. And, that becomes part of the issue too. In other words, are we adequately staffed? Are we providing a good service for the community, for the good bang for the buck? The answer is yes. Can we do it more efficiently? Probably a little more efficiently, but it's going to take eight more firefighters in order to do that. But it's also going to affect the current staffing level, the current staff's income level. And, you've got this whole balancing act. And again, when we take new people on, we have additional obligations in relation to benefits, and then pensions at the end of the road, which are going to cost the town a substantial amount of money down the road that we need to take into
Well,
consideration.
another way to look at it is.
So, we've looked at it over the years and wrestled with it. The ALS is another factor that we've been talking about in order to generate some more additional revenue. But in order to generate the additional revenue, it's going to be some additional costs incurred and costs in relation to, staffing, training, and contractually what the firefighters would be expecting to get paid, because the level of training is that much higher than the current level. We're going to pay more for a base rate. We're going to pay more for staffing levels, and is it really cost effective? And I have yet, in all the years, gotten a true analysis of that.
Well, the town has always stayed with the idea of having 4 personnel and keeping the overtime instead of hiring people.
Right.
It's been cost effective.
Well, let me ask this
Right.
question.
That's why
Let me
they've
ask.
always taken it that way.
Let me ask this question. How many firefighters on duty and are in the budget of the $1.121 million?
How many of my people?
Yeah.
There's 16 firefighters that work a shift, myself and the deputy fire chief.
Okay, so there's 16 firefighters.
There's 18
So
firefighters.
60% of 16 is over 8.
Well, that
so if
number's
you
a
could
little high,
eliminate-
too.
What?
That number's a little high. That number that you had on the board's a little bit high.
What, the overtime number?
Because in some of those years, we had people going to the academy, and that was very expensive for us, because we had to fill man for man.
No, but I'm just looking at if the overtime is around 60%. It's been that way.
It's really about 38%, 39% of the overall budget.
Yes,
Yeah,
no, but
right,
I'm
right.
talking about in terms of, so if 1.1 million, right, supports 18 people, right, then 60% of that is more than, is less, well, it's in the same ballpark as the overtime. It's a little less than the overtime number, and therefore, if there was no overtime and 8 more, not that we can live that way, but if there was no overtime and 8 new personnel, right,
That's what I'm saying.
it would be a wash.
1996, we came to the same conclusion.
So why did we stop then?
Again, it was a question
What are the
of-
other issues?
Yeah, the other issue was taking on the additional personnel. And again, even for those 8 people, you may not have to fill all the overtime just for vacations and holidays, because you've had that flexibility of still having personnel there.
You'd run shift short.
Right,
You know,
shift short,
we'd
but
be
you have the
running
benefit
shift
costs.
short, but by nowhere near, what we have
Yeah,
today.
You have the benefit costs, and then you have the pension costs at the end of the road, which is significant. Pension and benefits.
Okay, they're not in that number, right?
No, and that's something that nobody tends to look at
Yeah.
until, annually we say, what's our obligation, and we budget for it.
Right. But in the process, then, the additional staff could get us to ALS, and ALS might generate some additional money. We need to know what that might be, too. All right, we're not gonna, these are just questions tonight, obviously. And I think the suggestion of the FAC for you to work with the town administrator
And of those people
Come
that I
up
have
with-
on my staff, all of them except for one live in town.
Okay.
What was
Any-
that? everybody lives?
Everybody except for one guy lives in town.